Today we're exploring 4 of the most common ways to practice Sun Salutations or Surya Namaskar. I'm Jeremy Devins. This is the Yoga Teacher Training Podcast, and everything I'm sharing today is based on what I share in my teacher training programs, and my Quiet Mind Yoga membership, and my classes that I teach, and in the Yoga and Ayurveda mentorship program, which you can find all of that at quietmind.yoga. So, this is one of the most essential skills of practicing and teaching yoga. And I'm blown away by how often I still see teachers doing some very common mistakes with sun salutations. And we're going to break it down in some of the most important details and some of the most essential things to know about Surya Namaskar. So, of course, sun salutation is often done traditionally facing where the sun is rising in the east. So, that's also something that's maybe less commonly known. But if you're practicing at home and you're able to face east, it's a nice way to connect to the tradition of this. And Surya is a name of the sun, so it's a way of connecting with these solar energies, often done at sunrise, facing the sunrise. If you're able to do that, that feels amazing. It's like so refreshing and invigorating. And that's part of the intention, is to sort of bring in this sun energy, this Surya energy, into the new day. So it's ideally done in the morning with the sunrise. But of course, you can do it any time of day. And if you go to a class at 9 p.m. at a studio in any city, they're probably doing sun salutations in a vinyasa class. And one of the first things to consider if you're teaching sun salutations is the tempo of it, because it's not just one pose, it's a sequence of poses that are linked together with the breath, sometimes holding at different places. So this is one of the most common things I've experienced, is teachers teaching this very fast in a way that you can't actually breathe and move. So we see in this image I'm showing, if you're watching the video, this is the half sun salutation, the simplest, easiest one to start with for all levels. And even this could bring in some limitations that into awareness in the back, especially in the hamstrings. But with this, I have the picture here shown, and I'm going to kind of walk through. So we're starting in mountain pose. And if you're just listening, you can visualize being in mountain pose. And then you inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. And inhale, rise all the way back up to the Urdhva Hastasana, the standing reaching pose. And then you end with an exhale, hands in prayer, back in mountain. Or if you do arms beside you in mountain. So that sequence is a linking breath and movement, breath and movement. Generally in sun salutations, it's an inhale for expansive opening movements like back bends, and generally in all yoga, and it's an exhale with closing, folding, forward fold, flexion of the trunk kind of motions. Generally, when we're compressing the organs more, we're exhaling. When we're creating opening through the front of the body, we're inhaling. That's a general rule. And then the tempo of this, it could be inhale, raise your arms overhead, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, exhale, mountain. Now, what I just did there was like, if you're actually breathing, it's inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. It's like very fast, faster than the average breath rate, which is about 15 breaths a minute. And we're getting now close to hyperventilation, which is like 22 plus breaths a minute when we breathe that fast. And we don't want to be hyperventilating in yoga, except kind of when we're doing breath of fire or Kapalabhati. There's a little bit of that in an intentional way. But when we're doing sun salutations, we want to be able to breathe and move, feel. It's feeling involved. It's not just like listing poses and movements. So I see this sometimes where teachers are just kind of like listing the movements. Maybe they've done it so many times, it's just like they're just kind of not connected to it, or they're just kind of repeating it, or maybe they never take the time to slow down themselves and feel the movements. But everything, it's like, as a teacher, we're saying, do this and feel something. Do that and feel something. So if you don't give the space to feel something, you don't really feel anything, and you just kind of rush through it. And we just, especially with sun salutations, we create more of a sympathetic nervous system state, and then send people off into the day more sympathetically active, which is already a big problem in the Western world with coffee and busy schedules and go, go, go lifestyles. So in yoga, we can actually enter the sympathetic state in a relaxed place, in a relaxed perspective. So it's active, it's vigorous, it's challenging, but there's a steadiness. Now, to make this very, very practical, you can use a metronome at around 64, 65 beats per minute. I think is a good tempo for sun salutations. You can try this out for yourself. And you can use this site, imusics-school.com, or just Google like free metronome. But you want one that has the ability to have like a first sound. So this one has this, or you can have, it says stress the first beat, and then there's 4 beats. So if you're able to hear this, it'll go click, 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 click. So the first one is emphasized, and that would be like inhale, do this movement, exhale, movement, and space. And this is a nice tempo of about 65 beats per minute. Inhale, raise your arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Right? So that's a nice tempo that you can use through the whole sun salutations. And you can do it for the half sun salutations, as we showed. And we'll look at the other 3 more styles we can do. But the half sun salutations is great to do for people with maybe limited mobility. You could go slower than that tempo and actually just like not link the breath with this. But you could say like, inhale, reach your arms overhead, and then hold and breathe here in Urdhva Hastasana. So you do the breath into the movement, but then you give more space to hold it. And now the tempo doesn't matter so much. And this is especially helpful for beginners or people with limitations. And then you be in Urdhva Hastasana, arms overhead. After a while, everybody's breathing at their own pace. You say on your next exhale, forward fold, your knees can bend, go slow, be gentle on the low back. And then now once they're in the pose, just stay and breathe here a few breaths. And I recommend not saying 2 breaths or 3 breaths because everyone's going to breathe at a slightly different tempo themselves. And after a while, you might say on your next inhale, half lift, we'll hold and breathe here at your own rate. And then you can emphasize little details of the anatomy, things like the erector spinae activating. You can do hands on shins or thighs or arms floating back like locust. You can give variations. So that's a nice way to go very slow, especially with somebody with limitations. And then we move into the full sun salutation, Surya Namaskar A. And this image is showing the breath with the movement. So we're starting at just after 12 o'clock on this clock. And breathing in mountain or samastitihi. There's different names for this pose, equal standing, samastitihi, mountain, tadasana. You can be hands in prayer or hands beside you. They're all valid. I don't think there has to be one answer to that. So I don't emphasize that so much that you have to do it anyway. But you see now we are moving along this wheel. Inhale, arms overhead, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale now into a lunge. So this is a variation with a lunge. And then you exhale to plank. And on the same exhale, you're lowering to belly or chaturanga or knees, chin, and chest. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach up, arms overhead. Exhale, back to mountain. All right, so that's a cycle through the lunging sun salutations. There's another variation that we have to work with. And in this particular image, you see that this inhale into Urdhva Hastasana is actually a big back bend, very big. And most people don't have that range of motion, so it's not going to look like the image of a big back bend. But you can emphasize that if you'd like. And there is a lot of forward folds in the sun salutation typically. So this lunging variation and emphasizing the back bend is a nice way to get in more spinal extension and lengthening of the spine, which is generally good for most people in the Western world. A lot of us are in flexion most of the day, rounding the back. So we add in that extension through the reaching arms overhead variation, the lunge, and through the knees, chin, and chest. And then also, of course, cobra or up dog, you can do there is the main back bend of the sun salutations. but you could also do locust there if you'd like a little more strength in the back. So this is a nice variation to do to sort of balance out the typical Western lifestyle. And the standard, oh, I thought I had a picture of the standard one. So if we just take out the lunges, then we don't have the lunging salutations, then it's just a standard one. So we can use the same image and just take out the lunges. Imagine we have those taken out. So inhale, arms overhead, exhale, forward fold, inhale, half lift instead of the lunge, exhale to plank. And this is where I like to say hold and breathe here in plank. And then on your next exhale, chaturanga or belly, inhale, locust, cobra, or up dog, exhale, down dog, and then hold and breathe in down dog for 5 breaths in the typical Surya A. And then on your next exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, half lift is not pictured here. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms overhead, rise up. Exhale, mountain. So again, I'm saying it fast, but in the actual teaching, it's around the 65 beats per minute. I recommend that's about how I teach. I'm not counting it. I'm not using a metronome, but around that tempo is what I usually end up going and find really useful. And if you're not teaching or just practicing yourself, this is still like a good tempo to keep in mind for yourself. Like inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. And you don't need to count it like that, but you can at first, and then it gets a nice rhythm to it. And it's about feeling. It's not really about the time, exactly timing that, but feeling each movement. And then we have Surya B, which adds in the chair pose and the warrior one, or a high lunge is usually how I teach it. So it's pretty much all the same as what we did, but now it's inhale, arms overhead, exhale, chair. And I usually say hold for an inhale in chair, and then exhale, forward fold, inhale, half lift. Exhale, vinyasa. So that sequence of movements is the vinyasa. Chaturanga, up dog, down dog is the traditional version. But I've talked about a few variations of that today. And from down dog, it's immediately on the inhale, one movement into warrior one, and all in one movement on the exhale, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. Again, right away, one inhale all the way into the warrior one or high lunge, and then all the way one exhale, chaturanga, inhale, up dog, exhale, down dog. Hold and breathe 5 breaths in that final down dog. And then exhale, step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair. Exhale, mountain. All right, so you finish the cycle. And the big key here that's a little bit challenging for newer people is that one breath. So it's from down dog all the way on your inhale, you're into the warrior one. So there's a lot of movements that happen there quickly. And then on your exhale, all in one movement back to chaturanga. So that's quite a lot of movement at once, more than usual in most vinyasas. So just making sure that there's space for that breath and it's not rushed, not too fast. And that is Surya B. And again, the same thing about the same tempo, about 65 beats per minute, I think works really well here. But if you do this a few times, you start to build a lot of heat. And in the Ashtanga Vinyasa, as taught by Pattabhi Jois, you do 5 Surya A, 5 Surya B at the beginning of every practice. Even if it's a shorter practice, you might do 3 and 3, but still Surya A and Surya B to warm up the body. And then throughout a Ashtanga practice, there's a lot of vinyasas of chaturanga, up dog, down dog. And the understanding is that that was used mainly for burning out the energy of the young boys, the teenage boys who were learning this style. So if you're not a teenage boy, then you might not need so many vinyasas in your life and so many Surya Bs in your life. But if you feel like you need a little bit of energy, more of the yang, pitta, fire energy, Surya B is a great way to increase it. And Surya A is also a pretty good way, but Surya B is like adding more fire. So if you need more fire, then add more Surya B. If you don't need so much more fire and you have a lot of that already in your life, maybe just Surya A, maybe focusing on the lunging versions and going slower and less emphasis on the yang styles anyway. Maybe more yin styles are going to help you cool the fire a bit and chill out. So the 4 styles of sun salutations we looked at today again are the half sun salutations, Surya A with the lunge, Surya A without the lunge, and then Surya B. Along with some variations here that you can do, like these chin and chest, like cobra, locust, or up dog, and some different little tips here, like the tempo throughout this. And of course, linking breath and movement. Inhale is expansive, exhale is more contracting. If you want to go deeper with this, you can practice with me in the Quiet Mind Yoga membership at quietmind.yoga and learn with me in the yoga teacher training or the yoga and Ayurveda mentorship if you are already a certified teacher. Check all that out at quietmind.yoga. And thanks for listening. Look forward to sharing more with you next time on the Yoga Teacher Training Podcast.